I am personally curious about your pipeline because we have a very similar game, because I also work in a lot of story-driven interactive drama, and I'm curious to know more about your pipeline in terms of. So you're working on a new game, and what do you do if there's a bug or there's a problem? What's the workflow there? For example, let's start with that question. Do you just deal with it, or do you stop what else you're working with? What's the process in terms of dealing with these things?
So the first thing to do is to establish the priority of this bug. If it's killing the game, I would like stop everything else I was doing, and I would just focus on the bug. But if it's something minor, or if I reach to the person who created the bug and this person tells me, okay, this can wait, I will just finish what I'm doing, and then I will just fix the bug. But there is different kind of bugs. There are simple bugs like a light intensity is way too high, so you just have to dial it down because it was broken in the process. Maybe a blueprint broke or something else. And major lighting problems. Like I have one example. Like I was working on a scene on Twin Mirror, and I have decided to. In the beginning, I used every spot as a dynamic spot, as a dynamic light. But because I wanted to optimize it, I've decided to turn every spotlight to stationary light in Unreal Engine, and this broke the performances on Xbox One. And this kind of bug, when the QA told me, okay, this scene runs at like 5 or 10 FPS, and the day before it was running smoothly at 30, 40 FPS, I told myself, okay, there is a problem. I will fix it. It's lighting related. And when I opened the performance software that is called Pix for Xbox, I was immediately sure that my changes broke the performances. And I discovered that stationary lights, if they are crossing each other a lot, they can cost more than a movable light. And this kind of bug is like my top tier bug. Like if the game doesn't run because of the lighting, I have to fix it right away. But as I said, if it can wait, it can wait. Like some broken light intensity can wait an hour or two before I finish my tasks, and I take care of it.
So with the bugs and everything, there's another thing that was very common at Ubisoft, because at Ubisoft I did on my own as well a lot of dialogue, cinematic, and game lighting, so I did a bit too much. And one of the things I've noticed early on was the camera changing, the placement of the characters changing while I was doing the lighting, especially for very specific shots. Now, when you work on a very story-driven games, that is probably even more important to get the shots, the composition, and everything correct. How do you deal with it in your pipeline at your studio to make sure that when you're doing lighting, what happens before and after to make sure that you don't have to reiterate, so the camera doesn't change, the shots doesn't change? Tell us more about that.
So we had a very strict process that consisted on we wouldn't light anything cinematic-wise if it wasn't finished on the cinematic side. So every camera angles were locked. Every major modification couldn't happen if we received the task. We could do like a placeholder pass so the cinematic artist could see something, but most of the time they would just add spots in the scene to see the character, delete their lights, finish their work, and then we moved on lighting the cinematics. It happened sometimes. It was some exceptions when some cinematic shots were completely changed, but we were warned before. Like they couldn't do that without warning us, because if it's happening early in the production or in the middle of the production, it's not a big deal. But if it's happening during the end of the production, during the closing of the game, that is something they have to tell us, because we are finishing a lot of stuff elsewhere. and if they change anything that is already validated and reviewed on the lighting side, so they finish the cinematic, we lit the cinematic, it's reviewed, it's locked, it's accepted as good. Changing that was very exceptional, but we didn't have any major problems with lighting cinematics because our pipeline was very solid on this side.
Cool. Did you ever experience script changes which change lighting in your game? Because I know that happens in some games as well. Or it's no
What
problem.
kind of changes?
Script or dialogue changes, like something changes, or is it very set in stone when you work on Twin Mirror?
Yeah, it's most of the time it was set in stone when if the Jira task was passed onto lighting, it was because the director of the cinematic department validated every shot. So there were very low possibility to redo the lighting and redo a scene. It happened, but like less than 5 times on the production, because our producers were very careful about that, because they knew we were only 2 lighting artists on Twin Mirror, and they knew we wouldn't have time to check everything and to redo a lot of cinematics, because lighting cinematics takes time, and especially on Twin Mirror, we have like something like more than 3 hours of cinematics. If you take every different choice, and you add every cinematics, it's more than 3 hours. So it's a lot of time, and I think it's just a matter of respecting the departments that are at the end of the production, that they are expecting you to work. So it's good for the sound department, the VFX department, the lighting department to receive something that is ready to work on. I know the placeholder can happen, first pass can happen, but if you say it's locked because it can hurt the department, the end of the line departments.